Hi Vidya, am I audible to you?
Hello, yeah, I can hear you. Do I have, okay, I have sharing rights now, I can see. Yeah,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
okay. Hi,
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
good afternoon.
So, with your permission, if you allow us, we'll just start this scientific discussion, expert talk. So,
Sure,
Tanuka,
yeah.
Yes,
right.
yes. So, good afternoon, all. This is Tanuka Banerjee, and I thank each one of you for bringing out the time in your schedule for this interesting scientific session. The speaker of this session, as we all know, is Vidya Sen, South Asia head of NielsenIQ basis. Now, before I pass on the mic to Dr. Upendra Nagaich, who will be moderating this session, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce this dynamic personality. Serving as a national secretary, I'm sorry, Vidya, did you say something?
No, no, it's okay. I'm just getting some help at my end for
Okay.
presenting. Yeah,
Do you
don't
want me to
worry.
probably pause for a bit?
Yeah, I'll let you know I'm getting some help here. So,
No
yeah,
problem.
I'll let,
We'll take a
yeah.
pause.
No.
Yeah, no problem. We'll take a pause.
Yeah, Tanuka, you can continue, please.
Yeah, sure. So, as I was introducing, serving as a national secretary for Society of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Dr. Nagaich is an accomplished leader in the healthcare research with a blend of consulting and operating experience. A seasoned business leader with a demonstrated history of successfully working in healthcare and technology industry, further nurturing the businesses from the grassroots level, helping them achieve significant profitability goals and driving increased revenue for the organization. Continuing to achieve this vision, SPER Market Research was founded in 2015 to provide market intelligence and research based solutions to be able to provide support sorry to support businesses to help them make informed business and investment decisions based on real-time data points. Further, Dr. Nagaich has filed 13 Indian patents, published more than 160 high quality papers in international and national journals of repute, and also has been invited as a speaker in prestigious global conferences. Dr. Nagaich was named one of the 10 most revolutionary business leaders, also has achieved the Global Business Leader of the Year award, and is a recipient of the 100 most impactful global healthcare leaders given by the World Health Congress, to name a few. And now, finally, handing it over to the most humble Dr. Upendra Nagaich.
Thank you so much, Tanuka, for a great introduction. And let me just take the opportunity on behalf of Society of Pharmaceutical Education and Research heartiest thanks, our most humble welcome to Vidya Sen for accepting our invitation to deliver this talk very theme that is required, understanding the current scenario as well. So before proceeding further, I would like to briefly introduce our eminent speaker, Vidya Sen. So Vidya is basically currently look after Nielsen IQ basis as the South Asia head, and she's one of the veteran in the field of the market research. She has been associated with the innovation research and consulting over the last 15 years, and she started her career by establishing the practices for healthcare research in India in the early 1990s with an agency called MARG. So then she moved to Nielsen basis and later first set up the base for the country and then so on. So she has been on the journey for consulting with the clients on their innovation, renovation, business questions, predicting sales volume for their new initiatives, and helping optimize their in-market launches. In her current role at the as the basis head for the South Asia, Vidya has managed to bring back the basis to center stage by increasing the agency's client footprint, creating more localized thought leadership, celebrating successful innovation, and contemporizing basis offering by making them agile and being available online. And this is a great honor for society and all the industry experts. Those are witnessing this event, this lecture through our MS team and then different other medium as well, where we have shared the link of this particular event. So on behalf of society, Vidya, one more time, I just extend my heartiest thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule and making it possible to get a proper industry insight from a very veteran industry expert and a leader like you. So it's truly a motivational factor for us, and I invite you to start your talk. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Nagaich and Tanuka, for that, warm welcome and that awesome introduction. I don't even know if I deserve half of that, but I'm really, really happy to be here today talking about a subject that's really close to my heart because, like many of you perhaps on the call, I'm also a pharmacist by qualification, having done my master's in pharmacy many, many years back and been involved in the field of market research for healthcare clients in the beginning of my career and even today, even though I do work on a lot of other categories, I end up also working on a lot of OTC products and on innovations in this space in particular. So I work with Nielsen, and the division that I work with is called Bases, and we are specialists in innovation. We do enable a lot of our clients to launch successful innovations in market, and we help them optimize it so that they have winners in the market. And that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about today with regard to launching successful innovations in the category of health and wellness. Yeah. So if why health and wellness, why is it so important? If you actually look around us, the healthcare category in India is one category that is actually growing in leaps and bounds, and there are multiple reasons for it. Today, the category is valued at around 3.7 billion USD, and it's actually poised to become around 6 billion USD by 2025. And perhaps one of the key reasons for this growth is because consumers are reinventing, how they actually approach their health related decisions. As all of us know, following the onset of COVID-19, we've all personally in our own lives become a lot more conscious about the state of our health and what we actually do to prevent ourselves from falling ill. So if you ask consumers today, what is perhaps most important to them, many of them might say, yeah, relationships, making more money, security, and job situation and so on and so forth. But we know that even though that even if it doesn't get specified as one of the stated desires in their lives, they, as consumers, we all know that if we do not have good health, there is no room for any of the other desires that we may actually want from life. So we do believe that consumers today are certainly prioritizing their health and wellness needs. And that's one of the reasons why this category is actually growing. A lot of manufacturers are looking at this space. A lot of, erstwhile, prescription products are actually becoming OTC because consumers are taking their healthcare into their own hands today, as opposed to what they were doing a few years before. So if you actually talk to consumers, you can see that they have incorporated several behavioral changes in their lifestyle now. Several changes that today have a positive impact on their health and well-being. They are very careful about, what they eat, their nutritional intake, about their surroundings, about building immunity in their, the food that they have and their exposure to diseases. They're very conscious about the detrimental effect that stress can actually have in their lives. They understand there is a need to exercise and to sleep well. All this actually tells us that when you have a consumer who's health conscious and who's actually making behavioral changes and is looking for options to improve their own health and wellness, there is certainly a lot of opportunity available in this space to cater to the needs of consumers and what they're asking today from, from manufacturers, from businesses, from the medical fraternity, and so on and so forth. And now, besides COVID, actually, there are several factors that are also impacting the health and wellness landscape. For example, there have been many of these elements that you can see here, which have been on the horizon for quite some time. COVID perhaps has just accelerated a number of these and shown the light on the impact that health has on the whole of society. So if we take a look at how some of these elements are converging. Now, obesity, this obesity epidemic is not really going away. We know that 39% of the global population and about 20% of Indians are actually overweight today. 2.8 million people die each year as a result of being overweight, and WHO estimates prevalence has actually tripled over the last 40 years. So governments are actually waking up to the impact of obesity on society and their health budgets. And as a result, they are also beginning to enforce a lot of legislation on the extent of sugar, on the extent of fats that are there in various food products that we consume. There is mandatory nutritional labeling that is called for, and there are greater restrictions on advertising practices today, all of which are actually driving organizations to reformulate and change the way in which they do business. Another factor that's actually increasing is the concern for mental health. So even before COVID, 1 in 10 of the world's population had a mental health disorder. But today with COVID, the lockdown, with homeschooling and so on and so forth, we've become increasingly conscious about the detrimental effect that mental stress can actually have on our lives. And then aging, of course, we are an aging population today. And it means that, thanks to health advances, people are living longer. Their healthcare requirements are becoming more and more challenging, more costly, and more prolonged. And therefore, this is an area that will take on increasing importance as the years go by. There is what is called the silver population that has specific needs, and therefore there are opportunities for products to actually cater to this segment of society. Now, what's going to happen is, therefore, because of increasing healthcare costs, because of an aging population and various other factors impacting our health and wellness today, it pays to encourage everyone to be more preventative and proactive with regards to their health so that they live longer but healthier and independent lives. Now, the reason why I'm talking about all these factors is because all these factors actually have an impact on the way businesses are looking at products that need to be launched into this space which is growing at an average of about 10 to 15% per year and is likely to grow, continue to grow in the out years. this actually offers a lot of potential for products that are very relevant to a population that has become even more conscious about the need to take care of their health and the need to avoid illnesses and diseases. Okay. Besides COVID, there are also various other developments in, in the market around us. There are new technologies, there are new ingredients that have come up, new medical advancements that are also shaping the future of health and wellness in terms of proactive and preventative healthcare. Now, what is it that actually drives consumer choices to be healthy? We asked consumers as to, what is it that is driving their need to become healthy? And they actually came up with a number of reasons. And the reasons range from, wanting protection from ailments and diseases, from the desire to live a longer, healthier life, from seeing what they, is happening to their family and friends around them, from wanting to look healthier and feel healthier. So there is a drive amongst consumers also, to seek a long and healthy life and be protected from diseases. And that's one of the reasons why perhaps a lot of players are actually getting into this space and looking at options that they can look at in order to serve the population actually. But we also know that, not all of us are thinking in the same way. While there is an increasing health consciousness, not everyone is actually putting health at the center of their lives. We can actually segment people into different groups depending on their approach to health. For example, you have the proactive consumers take very active steps to improve their health. They want to remain healthy in the long term. If they're given choices, they would pick the healthier option. Then you have the reactive consumers who actually take steps when something strikes them. If there is a condition that triggers some amount of ill health, that's when they'll actually take steps to take care of their health. And then, of course, are the passive consumers who can't be bothered, while perhaps subconsciously they know that it's important to have good health, but they find it very difficult to prioritize their health. Thankfully, in India and in countries like India and China, we see there is a preponderance of, proactive consumers who want to take active steps in order to kind of improve their lives. By the way, I also want to say that if there are any questions, because I'm presenting on a full screen, I don't know whether I'll be able to see the questions. If it's really urgent and you want me to stop there, you can actually pipe up and ask me the question. I'm fine with it. Or else we can park that for the end. Yeah, I'm fine both ways actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess at the last we'll take with the questions we'll take at the last so that it would be an open house discussion as well at that time if required.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Yeah. So as I said, in India and China, we have a lot more of, proactive consumers making proactive health choices. Yeah. Now, when I said health and wellness, I actually want us to remind ourselves that the spectrum is getting to be very broad. Perhaps, some years back when you spoke about health and wellness, all one thought of was, drugs and medicines and, perhaps OTC medicines at best. But today it's not surprising that the health and wellness landscape goes beyond drugs and medicines. It encompasses categories in personal care, for instance. You have a lot of beauty products, for example, which have vitamins and a lot of, active ingredients that help improve the condition of your skin, take care of, dermatological issues and so on and so forth. But they actually are beauty products. You could have oral care products that actually help improve your oral hygiene, that take care of, cavity related issues and so on and so forth, and therefore transcending beyond just the freshness attribute to even, a curative benefit. Similarly, you have feminine hygiene products that actually play on the health spectrum. Health also plays a dominant role today in the food that we eat. For example, when we buy food products, many of us actually look for protein content. We read the packaging, we look for sugar levels, whether it's, gluten free, whether it's baked, whether it's organic, whether it's actually derived from plants, and so on and so forth. So, you can understand, the need for health is actually going beyond drugs. It's actually spreading to a lot of other categories. And of course, you have the nutritional supplements categories, not just, food products or products that we ingest. If you actually, look at even home care solutions, for example, even if it's a surface cleaner, all through COVID, we were exposed to a lot of, surface cleaners which had antiviral properties. Similarly, even if you look at a category like light bulbs for your home, you can actually position it on the health platform. So just imagine the kind of potential that exists on this in this space. The fact that you're actually providing a product that caters to the health and wellness of consumers. So it extends beyond just OTC drugs, pharmaceutical products. It's really broad, and it's very important to keep this in mind when you're looking at this category and looking at launching new products here. Now, coming to, therefore, the kind of innovations that one can actually think of in the health and wellness space, the mind boggles at, the varied number of innovations and the number of categories that you can actually think of getting into. So how do you actually ensure that, innovations that are positioned on the health and wellness benefit are actually successful in market? Are there any secret mantras to ensuring this? So let's take a look at, what exactly, is involved in ensuring that an innovation in the healthcare space is successful and it meets the needs of consumers. Now, firstly, it's not very easy to launch successful innovations, whether it's in healthcare or whether it's in any other category, whether it's in the category of consumer durables. Now, BASIS, the division that I head for South Asia, we've been doing innovation evaluation and, helping our clients optimize their innovations for the last 45 plus years globally in 80 plus countries. And what we've seen is that annually about 30,000 to 40,000 new products typically get launched, but very few of them, only about a third of them actually sustain and grow in the second year in the market. The way we actually define successful innovation is that an innovation should not just succeed in, making a presence market in the first year of its launch, but it should also succeed in growing in the second year, because the volumes that you get in the first year of your launch are very often, they come from your trial volumes, whereas it's only when the product manages to meet consumer expectations and results in truly satisfying their needs does the innovation grow in the second year. Therefore, this is how we'd like to define success in the market. And what we've seen is that only about a third of the products actually manage to grow in the second year. So not very easy to launch successful innovations. Why is it so hard? Yeah. If you actually think of it, the idea or the equation to success with a new launch is quite simple. The first stage is to have a good idea or a proposition that is relevant to consumers. Ensure the second one would be, to have a good product that matches up to the promises made in the idea. For example, the idea could be that, I want to launch a product that relieves headache in 15 seconds. Yeah. Now, unless I have a product that actually delivers against this promise, I'm not going to succeed in, staying on in the market. If this is the promise I've made, I need to have a good product that delivers on this promise. And then finally, of course, it's not enough for me to stay silent about my launch. I will have to ensure that I support it in market with creating good awareness and distribution. So if this is the equation to launch successful innovation, what makes it so difficult? Why is it that, so many innovations actually, fail in the marketplace? So now I want to actually ask a question, and I'm quite happy for you all to unmute and answer if you can. In your opinion, what is the most challenging part of this equation? What is the most challenging part of driving a successful innovation? Out of the three factors that I spoke about, having a good idea, having a good product, good activation, the three factors that I mentioned, which one of these three do you think is the most difficult? Anyone? You can present it on the chat or somebody can read it out for me. I don't know. I can't see your answers.
We have allowed the mics to all the attendees, so if anyone wanted
Okay.
to add here, so certainly they'll add. Anyone out of the audience?
Sorry, was there an answer? Does anyone want to take a go? It's okay. There are no, penalties for wrong answers or anything. A good idea, a good product, good activation. Out of the three, which is most critical?
You feel free to respond, because it would be more like, in a way, it would be more interesting as well if audience are also going to participate in this discussion.
All right, I'll give you the answer then if there are no answers. So basically, out of the three things that I actually spoke about, what we've seen is that, only 1 out of 4 ideas actually meet a real consumer need. Somebody may have a great idea. Today, we are coming across a lot of startups, each one of them has a brilliant idea. In fact, they get a brilliant idea every hour. But the thing is, what we've actually seen is that only 1 out of 4 ideas actually succeed in meeting a consumer need. And when it comes to products, only about half the products actually, match up to the promises made in the idea. And only about a third of the products that are actually launched in market receive enough marketing support. The rest of them just kind of are left to languish. So what we actually have seen is that out of the three parts in this equation, it is the weakness of the proposition that typically pulls down the initiative, because you're offering a proposition that is not relevant to consumer needs. It's not offering attractive enough benefits. It's not giving them compelling reasons to shift, from whatever they are doing today. So all of us, when we have, certain issues, either with our health or with anything, we're doing something. It's not that we aren't doing anything. But, for us to actually move to a new innovation, there must be a compelling reason to actually shift to that particular new product, because we see a great amount of benefit in it. Only when we see that will we actually move there. So products which are launched, which are not really meeting a real consumer need, a majority of new innovations actually fail because of that reason, because you're not truly relevant. Okay. Now, how do you actually then make sure that the proposition or idea is very compelling or relevant? How do you actually ensure that? It all starts with actually being very relevant to consumer needs. So yes, when you're talking about an analgesic, it has to relieve pain. Similarly, in cold season, when you're having a very high incidence of, cough or chest infections, then we're looking for, products like cough suppressants. If we have some hair care issues, then we kind of are looking for products which, help our hair grow, or anti-dandruff shampoos and so on and so forth. Now, all these are what we call, functional needs. And most products today, it's a hygiene factor, right? You have to have these functional needs. You have to meet our functional needs. You have to have benefits that succeed in meeting functional needs. But what we are actually seeing is that today, consumer needs are actually going beyond these functional benefits. The hierarchy of benefits, especially when it comes to health, has become very complex, and it goes beyond just the basic functional needs. So this hierarchy, which where you apply to health and wellness, brings to light a totally different view of consumer health needs. What it actually highlights is unique differences in the order in which consumers are prioritizing their health needs. It starts from the basic level of protective needs, and then followed by preservation needs, aspirational needs, evolving needs, and altruistic needs at the end of the day. Now, what are these needs, and how do they actually lay actually play out in when you look at the market, and what does each of them offer in terms of opportunities in which manufacturers can think of products that they can launch to meet consumer needs. So at the basic level, manufacturers could think of, very functional products, because we're talking health and wellness, and therefore, we should be able to offer a product which meets the very basic needs of consumers, whether it's pain or whether it's cough or whether it's a stomach problem or, whether it's a skin related issue and so on and so forth. But what we are now realizing is that the when you think of the health and wellness space, the hierarchy of needs is actually increasing, it's becoming very complex, it's quite different, and therefore there are opportunities at each of these levels. For example, when you think of protective needs, these are the most basic of health needs. So this actually means to protect ourselves from immediate threats to our innate sense of well-being. So 58% of Indian consumers actually ranked but protection needs as very high in importance. For example, we carried out a survey at Bases around mid last year when the pandemic had kind of, settled down. And we tried to understand what are the consumer trends in home care and personal care and foods. And what we saw was that the protection need was really top of mind when it came to home care. So protecting my family from illnesses, being safe for kids and elders, protects my skin, from getting from the harsh effects of the product. These were messages that manufacturers could actually tap into innovations like, hand sanitizers or home cleaners or insect repellents, even laundry detergents, and so on and so forth. So when you're actually talking about a laundry detergent, you would actually think that, stain removal and giving thorough cleansing should actually be should be the hygiene benefits. They are the hygiene benefits, but over and above that, you actually see companies like Unilever, companies like Godrej actually saying that, well, it's a laundry detergent that's, tough on dirt, but very safe on your hands. So protection for the family, protection of your clothes, that was a benefit that, we saw come up. And a lot of categories actually, played on these. For example, when you think of, products to keep your home clean and, free of germs, they are top priorities even now, even though the fear of COVID has kind of diminished. So you can see a lot of products actually talking about killing 99.9% germs, protection from the COVID virus. These have become hygiene claims for home sanitation products. Similarly, another need is a preservation need. So here it actually centers around self-care and your own well-being. So basically this ranges from, mental health checks to physical self-care, from, just getting good sleep, from, looking after your own sense of, your fitness. Preservation needs are those that actually aim at improving the consumer's quality of life, the current quality of life. How do we actually improve that so that, your long term health is taken care of? What we saw during COVID is that, people were really struggling with a lot of mental health issues, not just adults but even children. And today that's a fact that, a lot of products are actually taking into consideration when they, think of launching innovations to consumers. So basically, this could apply across segments, but primarily across, people who've suffered over the ravaging impacts of the pandemic over the last 2 years. Now, when we looked at mental issues, there were a number of them that we studied, but interestingly, sleep was the need for a good night's sleep actually came across as a preservation need in many markets, including India. So this actually correlates very well with the fact that we are seeing a lot of anxiety reducing, sleep inducing products that are being launched. For example, you can think of rubs and balms that give you a good night's sleep, or, like aromatic oils, or chamomile teas, for example, or room diffusers, which are having increasing demand today for the sheer reason that a lot of us are just not able to get a good night's sleep, and we're looking for products that can help us here. Preservation needs, basically. So, what at basis, what we also do is we recognize and reward innovation successes globally. We've been doing this for the past 11 years, and we have one of, yeah, a winner from our US market, a product called Ollie Gummies. It's a gummies product, and what it actually, all of us know many of these sleep inducing products have melatonin, but instead of just focusing on melatonin, this product had this very attractive packaging that stood out from the other packs available on the shelf. It was also available in a gummy format so that consumers can be induced to actually pick it up. So today, as I said, we're moving beyond just functional benefits of giving you a good night's sleep because the product contains melatonin. It's also available in a very convenient to chew kind of format. So your innovation can be driven not just by the core benefit, it can also be driven by some of the secondary benefits like taste, like product format, and like packaging. You tend to pick up a packaging which is more attractive than the others. Another example of a winner that we had, which also caters to the preservation needs that we have developed, today, is basically Mama Earth, which is again a health focused brand that talks about safe and natural ingredients, and being free from any toxic ingredients, not made with harmful chemicals, etc., and therefore catering to the preservation needs. Another need that I mentioned on the hierarchy of needs is the aspirational needs. Now, aspirational needs cater to the proactive and preventative measures that allow consumers to achieve specific health goals or prevent future ailments in the long run. Now, for example, 72% of Indian consumers actually say that aspirational needs have become more important to them in the last 2 years, which actually tells us that we've become very conscious about our long-term health. Globally, people said that they've actually begun to exercise regularly as a means of improving their health. In India, what came up even higher than regular exercise was the resorting to of a lot of natural ingredients in the products that they purchase. So you can actually see that there's potential in launching products which are aligned with the Indian traditional system of medicine or Ayurveda, which is possibly one of the reasons why this whole category of herbal products is increasing in its importance over time. So chemical free, going back to our roots and having ingredients that we know have been working down the ages. And you see this happening across categories, right from floor cleaners that have neem, to healthcare, to personal care products that have plant based ingredients that are tried and tested. Then you have the evolving needs, which are, today people are actually looking are at, the latest developments in healthy living. But it could be an alternative system of medicine, or it could be the use of wearables. For example, you have your Apple Watch that tells you what you are doing, at every minute of the day and measures all your vital parameters. So 75% of our Indian consumers actually said that they're ready to embrace new health and wellness trends. So whether it's the adoption of different kinds of diets, or signing up for different health related apps. Look at our phones today, and the number of health related apps that we have on our phones is quite mind boggling. And we're quite happy to do that. So whether We all know about intermittent fasting, but today there is an app that actually helps you to kind of, commit to a program of intermittent fasting. Or similarly, nutritional programs. There are a lot of us who sign up for nutritional programs because we need support in actually, looking after our health in the long run. Half the number of Indians today we saw are also comfortable with online consultations with doctors, something which would have been quite unthinkable earlier. And we buy medicines online, we use health related apps on our phone, we keep measuring our vital parameters. So there are opportunities galore for healthcare app providers, manufacturers of continuous blood sugar monitoring devices. I mean, like, what if you could actually look at your sugar levels through the day? And there are a lot of products that actually do this today. Remote health checkups. What if I just gave you a drop of blood and you actually managed to give me a complete understanding, a map of all that is wrong with my body? Something that would have been like, unthinkable a few years back. But Indians today, we've adopted technology when it comes to looking after our health and understanding, where we're going. So this actually expands that health and wellness space that I spoke about some slides back to even broader. You can actually think not just of, consumer durables, but even tech related apps that can be considered as being positioned on the health platform. And then, of course, you have altruistic needs about being sensitive to the environment and supporting products which are aligned to the causes that we endorse. For example, from environmental challenges to equal access to healthcare for all and protecting our most vulnerable, there are several ways in which consumers are prioritizing the health of the planet in addition to the health of themselves. So as you can see, we've come a long way from just asking for a product that, takes care of and alleviates some basic symptoms that we are suffering from. The symptoms have gone beyond just the, functional ones to, being meeting our needs at several levels. Once, as described by this hierarchy of needs. Similarly, you have sustainability claims. A lot of products actually make sustainability claims and it gives them an edge over the competition. For example, you think of a chocolate called the Honest Truth. It's a dark chocolate and it's one of the late entrants in the category, and this category is dominated by huge players like Mondelez and Hershey's. But the fact that a product like the Honest Truth is able to sell today is because it actually claims to support chocolate grown locally by local farmers, grown without the use of pesticides, grown through organic means, and so on and so forth, which actually gives it an edge and helps it, make a dent in the market, in this market dominated by big players. So this is again an altruistic need that drives most of us to go and buy a product like this. So as I said, you can think of tapping into different consumer needs. You have to be relevant to consumer needs, but those needs can be diverse. It's very important to find out what is the need that your product is trying to cater to, and then decide how it is actually going to cater to that particular need. Now, how do we arrive at these opportunities? We've understood these consumer needs, right? But how do we know what is the need we should be catering to? Obviously, it's important to size needs, and there are different ways in which we as market researchers do that. So we not only help identify what are the needs that consumers are facing today, but how big and how prevalent are these needs? Because, it's not just enough to see if there is a gap in the market, but it's also important to see if there is a market in the gap, because obviously no business will be interested in catering to a need if it's going to impact just a small niche segment. Now, how do we determine, what these unmet needs are and how do we size them and where do we get them from? Obviously, you can do research with consumers, but it's not always possible to do that, right? So sometimes what manufacturers and marketers do is they lift and shift from other countries. So perhaps there's a product that Mondelez is seeing, work in some other market. So they actually decide, hey, let's bring this to India. It could be a beverage, that is rich in vitamins and calcium. It's done very well in South Africa, and perhaps there's merit in actually testing it with the Indian population. Similarly, there could be other products. It could just come from R&D sometimes. R&D, sometimes possibly develops a product that's very new and unique. And then, marketers then see if there is a need for that product. For example, maybe there's this product called micellar water, which is a makeup remover. Now, it's just a liquid that, possibly people were just washing makeup off their faces. But here's a product that promised to do it in a very gentle manner. It could also come from a particular target group. For example, today, if you actually look at a lot of online retail outlets, or a lot of D2C kind of, platforms, there are many of them that cater to diabetics, so which offer sugar-free chocolate, sugar-free whatever, healthy, non-fried products, and so on and so forth. So you've identified a particular target group like diabetics, and you want to cater to them. Or it could, you could decide that I'm going to cater to the 60 plus. What are their needs, and is there an opportunity there? Or it could come from an occasion, like for example, there could be a health product that specifically caters for travel, something that a liquid product that you have at home, you pour it in a glass and consume it. But perhaps when you're traveling and it's not possible to actually get a glass of water, you can think of a format like a melt in the mouth strip. That's becoming very common these days, and you're seeing it across categories. You just take a thin strip and place it on your tongue, and you don't have to worry. You don't need to carry a cough syrup. You can have a melt in the mouth product that takes care of your that irritation in your throat. So there could be various triggers that actually help you identify opportunities. Okay. Now, after having identified a category or a space for launching an innovation, how does one create a product mix so that it ticks all the boxes? Like, as I said in the beginning, it's very important to have a proposition that's relevant, have a product that matches up to the promises made by that proposition, and then activate it well in market. So how do you create that proposition? And is there an ideal way for presenting that proposition? So if you think of your proposition, there are multiple elements in it. So one of the key things is what we call an insight, or an insight into the tension or the problem that's faced by the consumer. As I kept talking through, I kept mentioning things like, headache or, sleeplessness. Now, these are all problems that consumers face, and an innovation is actually catering to resolve that particular problem situation. So that is what we call an insight about the consumer. You need to have this insight. You need to know what is, the problem that's affecting them, the tension in their lives. That's what we call a hook. And then you create the benefits that actually help alleviate that problem. Your solution is a bundle of benefits at the end of the day. And then you have the reasons to believe, or the credentials. Why should I believe that your product is going to deliver these benefits? The reasons to believe are the ingredients. It could be whatever. There are different reasons to believe, and I'll talk about it in the next few slides. And then, of course, the supporting elements. So if you think of a proposition, so the next time you look at an ad, think of, what is the insight about this ad? What are the benefits that are being promised about the product in this particular communication? And why should I believe these benefits? What's the reason why I should believe these benefits? And what are the other details that are, the packaging, the pricing, or whatever else that the communication is talking about? Because at the end of the day, whether you're talking about healthcare products or whether you're talking about food products, any proposition comprises of these elements. And it's very, very important to get all these elements right if you have to succeed in the market. What are insights? As I just mentioned, an insight is what describes the need gap or the tension that the consumer is facing. Yeah, it describes a problem that the consumer would have, possibly has, but to which there is no solution available today, and she would like a solution to resolve that problem. Okay, so when she reads the insight, she should say, oh my God, that's so true. That describes my life. I'm exactly having the same problem. For example, I can think of an insight which says, oh, I know I should eat healthy products, and I should, it's very important for me to eat nutritious, healthy products. But unfortunately, the nutritious, healthy products that are available are not really tasty. I mean, they lack in taste. So I wish there were a product which was, offered me great health, but also great taste. So that could be an insight. She's having a tension. She wishes there were a solution that helped resolve that tension. And then, you can kind of see, okay, how can you actually cater to that particular need gap? There are certain rules about insights. An insight should be short, it should be personal, it should not be worded very negatively. You don't try and put down the other products, because for all you know, she may be in love with the product she's using today. So don't try and put down the other products. But it's very important to identify that problem very, very well. Yeah. And you, even if you, when you look at communication, ads that you see on television or wherever, you can see several ads which bring out this insight very, very well. They say, hey, that's so true, of everyone, of a majority of us. So it's very important for ads to actually do that in a very, succinct manner. How do we actually think of an insight? And the example that I gave you just now, it's typically we think of insights like, for example, when a marketer is creating a brief for an ad agency. They want them to create a communication, but it's the marketer's job to create this brief and give it to them. They want to say that, yeah, this is the insight and this is what I want your communication to actually revolve around. For example, it could be like, the first statement. We like to think of insights as a 3-sentence journey. So the first statement could be the current situation. Having pictures, for example, I'm saying having pictures around that instantly remind me of special moments and people makes me feel good. I like looking at pictures. But I find that pictures from my digital camera often stay hidden on my devices because I don't have the time to print them. I wish there was a way to enjoy them every day without having to actively play them on my TV or computer. It could be some, whatever technology related product that can meet this particular need. Or else I can think of, an insight which is more in the healthcare space. My job involves working long hours on the computer, but that causes a lot of strain on my eyes, and I suffer from red eyes or puffy eyes in the morning. I wish there were a product that made my eyes feel fresh and rested. So now you're talking about a product. This insight can actually lead to multiple products. It could be a solution that you put into your eyes, or like an eye drops, or it could be something like a liquid gel product, that you cool and then just place over your eyes and go to sleep. Yeah, it can be various products. It could be some kind of an under eye cream that takes care of puffy eyes in the morning. So it can range from, medicinal products like eye drops to something like a beauty care product at the other end, which takes care of puffy eyes. Yeah. So the insight is just talking about the tension. Now, how do you resolve that tension? Can be through multiple means. It can be through different product solutions. Yeah. Um yeah. Now, the next element that I spoke about, after having identified what the insight is, the next element is actually the benefits. Because at the end of the day, as I said, your product is a bundle of benefits. Why are people buying your products? They are not buying it. Certainly, they're buying it because it's relevant to them. And why is it relevant to them? Because there are these benefits that your product is offering. It's a solution to the problem. And that's the key reason why people are buying it. So what's in it for me is the question that the consumer asks when he typically sees an ad. So the benefits are the solution to the problem. Now, benefits could be both functional as well as emotional. For example, if you think of functional benefits, they could be fast relief, they could be great tasting, time saving, great packaging. All these are functional benefits. But again, you could think of emotional benefits like, fast acting. So it gets me on my feet again, and therefore I'm able to get on with my life, so that makes me feel good about myself. Or it could be a brand that I love. So for example, like Combi Flam, I've been using Combi Flam for years. And so if Combi Flam tomorrow gets me some other product, I probably would trust it because it's a trusted brand for me. Another emotional benefit could be, it helps me make connections. It's a product that I can share with others. Yeah. So the packaging is such that it's for sharing, so helps me make connections with people. So your benefits could be both functional and emotional. Ideally, it's important to have both, have the functional benefits, but also connect it and ladder it up to emotional benefits, or stay with just the functional ones. It's very difficult to sell a product purely on emotional benefits. Yeah. So there certainly is a functional benefit that's always communicated. Okay. But ideally, maybe both work together. How do you do that? So how do you connect, functional benefits to emotional benefits? We use a process of laddering. Laddering is a way to arrive at the emotional benefit from a functional one by asking the question, so what? So, for example, if you have a functional benefit like it lightens skin tone and removes dark spots, I have a product that does this. So what? So, it improves the appearance of my skin. So what? So I don't have to be conscious of my skin anymore. So what? So the emotional benefit it could be, it gives me the confidence to be myself. So you can actually see how a basic functional benefit by asking the consumer, what if you got this benefit? What if you got this benefit? Till ultimately it leads to an emotional one. You can actually see how this can be very useful in creating, advertising. So you start with a very basic product, but by understanding the emotional benefit that this product can bring to the consumer, you can actually, create the sequence of, what you want to communicate in that ad. Similarly, another example that I have is, ready to eat meals are made out of high quality and healthy. This is a ready to eat meal product, which is made out of high quality and healthy ingredients. So, so this easy to prepare meal will provide me with health benefits. So what does that do? So it helps me complete my nutrient intake. So what does that do? So it gives me the assurance of health and wellness for me and my family. So ultimately, you've reached this emotional space of, I'm looking after the health and wellness needs of not just myself, but my family, and therefore, leads to happiness for all. So instead of just saying, hey, here's a product that has this, yeah. So it's not about your product, it's about ultimately what is the benefit that it's offering consumers, and therefore, what's the impact it has on the consumer's life. So at the end of the day, the benefit is usually the center of your proposition. It's the reason why people buy your product. So if you think of all the OTC brands that we've ever used, for example, if you think of it relieves acidity in 6 seconds is the core benefit, and this is something that gets reinforced by the effervescence, the protagonist in the communication who is showing an expression of relief ultimately, after having consumed, a glass of Now, the benefit, very often we like to load our benefits. We know that our product it has 5 benefits or 6 benefits that it can offer consumers. But we always tell our clients that it's not good to load your communication with so many benefits because consumers are not going to remember all of them. It's better to focus on a single benefit and express it in a simple compelling way. For example, if you look at this picture, you know that this is a sugar free product. The visual is enough to tell you that the ants are not interested in it because it has no sugar. It's a lollipop at the end of the day, but it is sugar free. Yeah. So talk about a single benefit, express it in a compelling way. Or else, if you want to have multiple benefits, they all have to ladder on to one overarching benefit. For example, we had all of us know Ole, it fights the seven signs of aging. If you ask people what are the seven signs, they probably will be able to at best talk about three or four. But we all know, oh yeah, Ole is this anti-aging product because it fights the seven signs of aging. And they did it very well through their advertising. So very well supported. The single benefit is obviously it fights the seven signs of aging. The benefit has to be made very tangible in the communication. You can't list out all the benefits, but through, like, for example, Virat Kohli, a health conscious cricketer, having these chips is enough for us to know that it's very healthy for you. It's not fried, it's baked, it's got multigrains, and so on and so forth. So all of us will rush to buy it because it's good for our health, yeah, or not bad for our health. But the third benefit, the third element that I spoke about is actually RTBs, or what we call reasons to believe. Now, why should you believe the benefits that are being promised? Because it's the RTBs that actually provide this credibility. The primary function of the RTB is to make the benefit credible. And its secondary function is to actually make it very distinctive. For example, like anti-dandruff shampoos. A lot of them, said that they took care of dandruff, but when I think it was clear that said ZPTO, when that particular brand that said ZPTO, and then we said, oh yeah, that's something, possibly it works. We didn't know what the heck ZPTO was, but we believed it, right? So your RTPs can come from different sources. For example, it could be like hyaluronic acid for hydrating the skin, and we believe it because it's a chemical. We probably read about it, Google, and we say, yeah, it's pretty good because there's a mode of action, there's a logical reason for it, or scientifically proven, and it acts within 15 days. So this is basically, there could be consumer testimonials, or there could be scientists saying that yes, it acts within 15 days, and we go ahead and say that, yeah, maybe it's going to take care of my skin, and it's going to act within 15 days, or recommended by dermatologists. When experts say it, then we tend to believe it much better. Or just the fact that the brand has a great track record. So tomorrow maybe a L'Oreal can come up with a product that offers some really out of the world skincare experience, and we'd all be tempted to buy the product because we believe and trust the brand L'Oreal. It's also a demo, a benefit demo can also help us visualize how the product is actually working. Here are some examples of RTBs. Chocolate, the Belgian chocolate on one hand is just, talking about the visual impact, tells us how tasty it is. Similarly, when you actually look at endorsements, like 9 out of 10 scientists recommend this, it's good enough for me. Or having a chef, who says Nor is great, it's a great tasting product. Yeah. It's also important, for the RTB to express the mode of action very clearly. For example, you have a situation on the left where they just say beads that make the clothes 2 times softer. On the right side, you have one which says beads that combine with water to penetrate into the fiber to leave your clothes 2 times softer. So you're also told how the product acts, and that typically works in healthcare products. If you know what the mode of action is, you would tend to believe it much better. Okay. Now, I just want to take a few minutes to talk about, innovations that have worked in the healthcare space globally. As I said, at Bases, we celebrate and reward innovations, and we've been doing this for the last 11 years. And these winners have been across several categories: foods, beverages, personal care, OTC, home care, and so on and so forth. But in the category of OTC, we've had about 21 winners, over the past 10 years globally. Many of them have been from North America, but we've also had a couple of winners from India. And what we've typically seen is that, they fall into two main themes, most of the winners. Either they are the RX to OTC, or products that have moved from the prescribed only to being bought over the counter. And there were also other winners that actually gave us convenience in the form of application or dosage. So these were two kinds of trends that we saw in the OTC winners. For example, one of them, when it came to ease of application or dosage, one winner that I spoke about earlier was Ollie, which is a gummy that could be easily had. So, for example, here it is. So, not just a sleep inducer, but also does it very well through a very convenient format. Similarly, Flonase was an anti-allergy relief product that consumers, it had a mist format that consumers could barely feel, and it actually went through your nose very smoothly. So it didn't have any kind of drip or anything, and it took care of allergic issues. Similarly, we have Volini, which was a winner, which spoke about, how it gave relief from pain, because it was one of the initial spray formats in when it came to pain relief. And, just the way the application process was enough, consumers were convinced that it relieved pain. Vicks Baby Rub was another winner, which was helped babies, kind of moisturize, soothed, and, relax them. The whole process of rubbing the product on the baby, was shown in the communication, and it was shown how it actually gave a lot of relief to a crying baby. Similarly, RX to OTCs, there are a number of them, which perhaps in the Indian scenario, because of the fact that we have very little regulation when we actually go and buy products, but in a lot of other markets where, it's so difficult to meet a doctor and get a prescription, when a lot of products actually went OTC. For example, your proton pump inhibitor on the left-hand side, or a Nasocort allergy relief, which is actually a steroid product. When these products went OTC, they gave a lot of convenience to consumers, because now they didn't have to go and wait and for an appointment with the doctor and a prescription, and then go get the prescription filled in from the pharmacy. So these were a couple of winners uh, that we saw in the health and wellness space. So what I want to sum up is, I just want to leave you all with a few thoughts. I spoke about a lot of having products that are relevant to consumer needs. What are these needs and how they are changing, and how do you actually create your proposition so that it ticks all the boxes when you actually launch it in market. But I just want to leave you with some final thoughts. One is the whole definition of health and wellness. Today, we are actually, when we talk about health and wellness, it's bigger than what we thought it was, because it's gone way beyond just drugs, medication, OTC products. It's expanded to even home care products. It's expanded to foods, obviously. So it's very important to look at a wide horizon if we are looking at identifying opportunities in this space. The second thing is that the landscape is fast changing. So it's very important for us to be ahead and understand what is driving consumer needs. So if we have to launch an innovation, it's very important for it to be relevant to consumer needs. But, instead of just looking at consumer needs from the lens of, functional needs, it's very important for us to go beyond and look at, maybe preventative needs, preservation needs, the way consumers are evolving and reaching out to technology to actually help take care of their health. So tomorrow, when we think of a product, it could be a product that provides certain functional benefits, but it would help to have a kind of an app associated with the usage of the product, so that consumers can actually feel good about using it, because that's where the consumer of tomorrow is actually going to be. As digitization is accelerating, it's also very important to personalize the product for the consumer. The market is very competitive, so you have to make it very easy for consumers to find you. So your packaging has to be very attractive. It does not help to have this drab packaging, because when it comes to OTC and self care, consumers are making choices at the shelf. So it's very important to stand out at the shelf. While yes, you have to abide by the codes of a healthcare product, you need to kind of stay within the boundaries of what you can say on the label, etc. But there is no reason why you should actually merge into the background. Like, for example, what we saw in the Oli example was the attractive packaging actually helped consumers to pick it up in market. And innovation is ripe for opportunity, and it's very important to follow it in a very disciplined manner, because there could be several insights about consumers that are lurking around. And it's very important to develop this whole approach, a methodology, in order to bring these insights to life and give consumers reasons to believe. The consumer of today is seeking transparency. He's not going to believe you just because you say that it's going to offer these benefits. Yeah. So we need to give him strong reasons to believe as to why this product is going to act the way we are saying it's going to act. So either through testimonials, it is through, it could be through other consumers who've used the products. It could be through, doctor recommendation and so on and so forth. Because you're talking about a very evolved consumer today. The consumer is in the driver's seat of their own health, because all of us have taken self-care very seriously. Some of us have taken it to a much greater extent than the others, but most consumers are in the driver's seat of their own health. So it's very important for marketers to stay in step with them. The communication should understand that we're talking to an evolved consumer today. Most of us, when we go to the doctor today, by the time we reach him, we have already Googled what our illness is, and we've already come up with some solutions, by ourselves. And very often the doctor tells you, yeah, you can keep that and let me be the expert here. So yeah, but what I want to say is that we need to stay in step with this evolved consumer. And then, of course, since we are talking self-care, if we have products in the RX space that are ready to be consumerized, this is the right time, to actually make them OTC, start communicating directly to the consumer, so that, you take advantage of this whole ready to take care of one's health consumers who are waiting for solutions to take care of their problems. Yeah. I think I'm done with what I want to say. I'm happy to take questions and, yes.
Right. Thank you so much, Vidya. It was a well articulated presentation and thoroughly touch base the topic that you have chosen, very apt topic that you have chosen, and well articulated the entire slides they have given. Like we can anticipate, yes, this is something what we are looking from a presentation. And this is touch base our
Okay.
day-to-day life and activities as well. So quickly we'll run through few questions. If anyone from the audience do have, so you just raise your hand and then we'll unmute and you can have the question. So anyone if wanted to have any question, any clarity. Yes, Anika, you can unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Hello. Yeah, good evening, sir, and good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Yeah.
Yeah. So, ma'am, can you tell me about like how market research can be the value addition for the healthcare industry?
Okay, you've I can be here for the next whole week trying to explain that. But yeah, so as I mentioned, we work with a lot of pharmaceutical clients, especially the company that I work for. We work with a lot of OTC clients. I've also worked in the ethical product space, where I've done a lot of research with doctors when it came to, prescription products. But over a period of years, I've actually moved to working with a lot of OTC manufacturers. So you have a lot of companies today who have decided to get into this OTC space. Like, for example, take Cipla. They had launched a gummies product, which was a calcium supplement, for women, and there were products for children too. So when they came to us with this whole idea, uh, we can actually work with them at multiple stages. So we could actually either, even before they have an idea, we can, kind of do consumer research to understand what are the need spaces that consumers have. Perhaps, consumers are telling us that, I lead such a busy life, I don't have time to eat properly today. So that helps you understand that, yes, there is a nutrition deficiency that is there. Or even without talking to consumers, by just looking around us and looking at people falling ill, etc., you realize that maybe immunity is a big issue. Yeah. So what are the issues that consumers are facing? That's something that, we can unearth. And then we go back and, say that, yeah, these are the demand spaces that you can actually tap into. So our clients go back to the drawing board and they say, okay, how can I help meet nutrition needs of consumers? Can I think of a product? Should it be like a regular calcium supplement? There's so many calcium tablets available today. But if the gummy format was something that was very new and unique, because if you're launching an OTC product, it's also very important to stand out from the competition, right? Otherwise, why will people buy you? I'll keep eating my calcium, for whatever, Shell Cal or something. But Shell Cal is also available in the gummies format today. It's just to make that product exciting. And also we help our clients in a number of ways. We can help identify the opportunity. We can help size the opportunity. We can help evaluate the proposition. So the proposition that they're putting together, we go back and tell them, hey, the insight that you're talking about, you need to express it differently, or the benefits that you're promising, consumers don't find it believable. Let's say that a calcium in a gummies format, I don't find it believable. Yeah. They would even test the product with us and we go back and say, is there a taste issue with a product? So we help in product testing, we help in concept testing, we also help in full mix testing, and we do volume forecasting. So what the specialty of bases when we actually think about innovation is that we got into the market as volume forecasters. So we have a model that we use. So clients actually, we test the product with consumers, we get consumer reactions, and then we go and ask clients for their marketing plans. So how much are they going to spend on advertising? Are they going to be on digital media? Are they going to be on television? Are they going to spend money on promotional activities? We put all this into our forecasting model and it spews out a number. Not as simple. We have to work on the model and, kind of arrive at a number, and we go back and tell clients. We also validate the forecast. So after a year, we go back and we ask them how they supported the launch and we do a validation. So we can help in a number of ways. We can do pack testing, for products. So we did a pack testing for some OTC products, to kind of see whether it's meeting the codes of the category, how the consumer can actually, how, like, do consumers identify it on the shelf. We can also do communication testing. So we have now very recently, we've launched Neuro. So we use Neuro for communication testing and we help our clients optimize it. So a number of ways in which we can do that. Yeah. That's our
Right.
business. I mean, that's the
Right.
reason
Thank you
why
so
we
much, ma'am.
exist. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Stuti,
You're
let me
welcome.
just allow mic. Yeah, Stuti Garg, you can unmute yourself and you can ask your query or concern you do have.
Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, I want to
Yeah.
know
Good
how
evening.
product mapping can help. Yeah, ma'am. I want to know how product mapping can help companies to develop their strategies.
So when you say product mapping, when they have their own existing brand, right? Hello. Yeah. So let's assume
Yes, ma'am.
you have, yeah. So let's assume you have Abbott, which has a product like Ensure, which is catering to adult consumers. Now they want to know how they can actually, you want to see how this product is delivering against the needs of consumers. There are also other competition products that people are using. For example, there are many households where people just consume the MFDs that they buy for their children. Yeah. Or else they consume even vitamins and mineral supplements are competition for a product like Ensure. So we do something called, we have something called a brand advisor, where we understand from consumers their perceptions about, we get a ranking of all these products, brands on a number of attributes. We capture key measures about the brands. What is the extent of awareness? What is the extent of usage? Is it a most often used brand? Perhaps people are aware of Ensure, but they don't use it as much as they use Protein X, let's say. Then we also try and understand what are the strengths and weaknesses of each of these products. What are the gaps that are there in the market as far as, Ensure is concerned? Should they launch a line extension to Ensure? Is price an issue? Is there merit in actually launching a smaller sized SKU like a trial pack, so on and so forth? Do they need to kind of strengthen their position with doctors because consumers are going and asking doctors for their recommendations, maybe? So we can actually help them with product mapping to identify what are the strengths and weaknesses of the product today, and therefore what should their strategy be in the future in terms of product, portfolio mapping, in terms of pricing, in terms of promotional strategies, in terms of marketing and communication strategies. Yeah. Product mapping, yeah, would be a critical piece. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, Muskan,
Thank
you, yeah.
Thank you.
Muskan, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah,
my
good evening,
question is,
Muskan.
can artificial intelligence will impact the traditional data collection process?
Um, we have already started using AI to quite some extent, especially in the area of product testing. We've started using AI in product testing. I'm not sure so much about data collection. So I think the first stage is we used to go to consumers and collect data. After that, what we started doing was social intelligence. You must have heard of that, So we actually trawl the web and listen to what consumers are speaking. We don't call it social listening, we call it social intelligence, because we try and analyze the data. So we try and see what are consumers talking about, different issues related to their health today. Let's say you want to identify need spaces. So one approach is going and asking consumers, but if you don't want to ask, you can actually look at social data, because people have, there are various groups where they complain, and especially people are always asking questions to doctors or online groups. They're asking questions about their health. So if you do social listening, that's a very good source of information. So you don't need to go and ask consumers. Social listening data has actually replaced qualitative research in a number of cases. So it gives us the vast arena of, issues that consumers are talking about. Now, where we have, started using AI is actually in product testing. So for example, in foods and beverages, we have an AI model that we have calibrated globally and, across some 50 different categories. So let's say I'm testing a kind of breakfast cereal. Yeah, I'm trying to look at the breakfast cereal space. And Kellogg's has created, let's say, 2, 3 variants, of some breakfast cereal. It could be maybe ragi based breakfast, ragi, the millet, whatever, which are very in the news today. It's a year of the millets actually now. So maybe Kellogg's has created something like that and they want to test it. And they come to us for product testing. typically what we would do is maybe they give us 4 products. We test each with a sample size of a minimum of 200 consumers. And then we go back and say these products did not meet consumer expectations. And they go back to the drawing board. And then they kind of create another set of products. We test it again with 200 consumers per product. So there's a lot of testing and retesting that keeps happening till you actually get a product configuration that beats the competition or beats whatever. Now with AI, what is happening is we've already calibrated a model for India for different markets. So with AI, tomorrow Kellogg's gives us 3 products. We test it with consumers and we do what is called a sensorial evaluation of the product. We don't ask consumers whether they like it or they don't like it. We do a sensorial evaluation. Like for example, when you look at this cereal, is it, uh, is it like, sorry, is it basically, like has a right texture? Does it on texture? How do you rate it? On sweetness, how do you rate it? And so on and so forth. So you get this evaluation from consumers on sensorial attributes. Now, what we've done is we've already calibrated this model, this AI global model that tells us that a particular configuration of attributes, a particular level of texture, particular level of sweetness, a particular level of crispiness, aftertaste, results in a certain level of liking amongst Indian consumers. So the AI model is able to throw this out. So instead of asking consumers whether you like it or not, we take a small sample of consumers, we take only 2 or 3 products and we get these ratings from them. We put this rating of those, the evaluation of the product on what we call sensorial attributes. It's like a descriptor. This is where this product is on texture. This is where it is on sweetness. When we bung this data onto our AI model, the AI model will give us a score, a liking score. Not only that, it will also tell us that, hey, you tested these 3 products, but if you actually tested a 4th product, which is a particular different, completely different configuration, then that would have got you a higher level of liking. Yeah. So we can go back to Kellogg's and say, you tested these 3. I mean, they're fine, but there is another option to test a different, create a different combination. And you should do that. So maybe Kellogg's goes back to the drawing board and just creates that one product and we test it with consumers and we can get on with life. So we're using, AI for product testing in quite a few markets. We are also calibrated for India, but it's only in foods and beverages now at this stage. So alcobev, chocolates, there are a lot of categories where, we can use it. AI and concept creation is also something which is on the card. So, like looking at all these trends that I spoke about social listening. So if you look at them as, consumer trends, what is happening to consumers? What are they talking about? What are their cribs, what are their pain points? If we look at that, we can actually create concepts also, and we can use AI in some manner because you have masses of data. You need this trawler to actually make sense out of that data and tell. Where we were with social listening was we knew that this was all the data that is there. Now with AI, we're making sense out of it and saying that this is the concept we should be testing or launch. Yeah, so lots of potential. Yeah, AI is going to take over our jobs maybe in some not very
Thank you,
distant
ma'am.
future. Yeah, welcome.
Mamta.
Good evening, ma'am, and good evening, sir. Ma'am, actually, I wanted to know from you that is India prepared to implement remote patient monitoring?
Um, I know that there are some. I'm no, I won't say that I'm the expert on this. Probably Dr. Nagach will be able to throw more light on this. But I know that there are people working on this, and maybe you send. I mean, if you can do DNA, whatever sampling, if you can send a small sample of, I don't know, some hair or something, sputum or whatever, I'm sure we can you do work miracles with that and we can do a complete mapping. The day is not far off. There are people working on this. I know I've heard of some companies, Bangalore based, that are gone far ahead in this arena. Yeah.
I just
I
add
don't
on
think it's
here.
very far.
Yeah, I'll just add on here,
Yeah.
Mamta. We also, like, I guess, 1.5 year back, we did a project for our global US-based client, and that was in the year 2000 during the COVID pandemic, I guess, and that was basically intended for the remote patient monitoring, understanding the remote patient monitoring across Indian population, and that is also for the
Mm.
rising population people. So that was a very exhaustive research that we have done, and we came on a conclusion that yes, this is something helping the patient, the relatives, the caregivers, and the doctors at large. But at the same time, there are certain pointers that could be the bandwidth issues, connectivity issue, the issues related to the 4G or the 5G connections. Because when we are talking about the remote patient monitoring, we also need to ensure the connectivity issues, the awareness of the end user or the patient or the person who will be ultimately involved for giving their vitals. So they need to understand how to capture the vitals. And at the same time, they also need to understand the right methodology to capture the vitals, and the same information need to pass on to the healthcare professionals so that they can evaluate basis the vitals, what they have received, and accordingly, they will be able to offer certain solutions to them. That has proven a boon to the community at large, where they won't have the accessibility of the healthcare professionals, or maybe the primary healthcare places where there are not much very specialized healthcare professionals are there. So that way, that person will be able to get the consultation from the very senior specialized healthcare professional sitting across the metro cities or any top hospitals as well. But yes, the ground challenges, awareness, possibilities of attaining those devices, those are able to offer the patient monitoring is also very important. So yes, this research we did in the past, and there was a mixed opinion. It is required. Government is also supporting in one or the other way, but still the awareness across the people, across the caregivers and the patient are utmost priority. But this will become a new normal in the near future. What? Because that was a very large sample size we have conducted across pan India, and the result what we have submitted to our partners are very like breakthrough we have given for in terms of understanding this niche area across the Indian population and the continent at large.
Yeah. So if you're talking of monitoring, I'm sure, that it's the need of the hour today. Like, for example, like psychiatric counseling, for example, maybe a lot of counseling actually happens online today. We are quite happy. A lot of doctor consultation today happens online. For example, my husband believes in alternative medicine. His doctor sits in Kerala. He's never met him, but he's been like, his patient for the last, whatever, 3 to 4 years, whenever he feels like it or whatever. Yeah, don't ask me all the whatever the medicines or so-called plant-based products that he has. We trust that doctor, and he's never met him. So I think we are all remote monitoring is something that, as he doctor said, it depends on connectivity. As long as all that is there, it should be a possibility.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You also hear about a lot of, young people who've migrated abroad, who want, looking after their parents who are there in India. So everything is possible today remotely. It's just technology has taken us so
Right.
far. Yeah.
True. True. Right.
Yeah.
So quickly we'll have Akash. So yeah,
Good evening, Upin sir. Good evening, Vidya ma'am.
you are not
Am
audible,
I,
Akash.
Yeah. You got to be a little louder.
hello? Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good
Better.
evening, Vidya ma'am. Ma'am, can you pinpoint how exactly consumer will be benefited by market research studies?
at the end of the day, as market researchers, we help our clients develop better products. Yeah. Products that are more aligned to the needs of consumers. We help identify what are the, burning issues of consumers, what kind of products will actually meet their needs and, their expectations. We help test products with consumers. So if there are issues with the products, through the market research exercise, we actually provide feedback to our clients. So I think at the end of the day, we, have helped our clients come a long way in actually developing products that, at least in the health and wellness space, I can tell you, help in bettering their lives. Yeah.
Right. So thank you so much. Any other query, if anyone do have, so quickly you can raise your hand so that we can, otherwise we are good to summarize this very interesting session that was given by Vidya, one of the veteran leader in the industry. Yeah, Varisha.
Yeah, there's one more question.
Okay, right. Let me just allow you the mic. Yeah. Yes, Varsha, you can unmute yourself and you can raise the.
Hello.
Yes. Varsha, can you please unmute yourself and then you can ask your question? I guess she lost in between, I guess. Right. So I guess Vidya, there is no any further questions from the audience, but yes, it was very interesting talk indeed. And as a token of appreciation on behalf of the society, we wanted to honor you with a certificate of participation and giving this wonderful talk to the audience. And it was well summarized. Deepak, can we have the certificate? Can we have the certificate, Deepak?
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Right. And I'll share the copy with you via WhatsApp and via email as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
your time. Thank you so much for your time, Vidya, and look forward for your continuing support for enlightening the young minds, the industry, the healthcare wellness domain at large.
Okay. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure entirely today. And thank you for all those interesting questions. It's always good when it's interactive. Yeah. Truly happy to answer all those questions. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so
you
much.
so much.
Bye.
Thank you so much. And we are good to close the session. Deepak, please proceed.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.